guys? So today we're moving on into lesson 5.5, which has to do with something called special segments, which we've already learned median, we've learned altitude, and then we're going to learn two different ones inside these special segments to help us to go and recognize what those are. So let's jump into that. Okay, so right here on your key points, the first one we're going to talk about is a perpendicular bisector. So we know the word perpendicular means 90 degrees, and the word bisector means it's cutting something in half. So that means the line segment that is perpendicular to a side of the triangle at the midpoint of that side. So right now it's making a 90-degree angle at the side and it's cutting it in half. Again, it's your perpendicular bisector. So on these perpendicular bisectors, if you draw all three of those lines on the triangle, it's going to meet at a point called the circumcenter. And the circumcenter is the intersection point of the perpendicular bisectors, and the circumcenter is equidistant from all the vertices. So what that means, if I was to actually draw all three of my circumcenters here, or all three of my altitudes to create that circumcenter. So I'm going to go ahead and draw. So here is my midpoint about right here. So I'm going to draw my 90-degree angle right there. My midpoint's about right there. I'm going to draw my 90-degree angle here. So right here would be my circumcenter. So right now the circumcenter is going to be equidistant from all of the vertices. So that means right here we have equidistant from that vertice, and that vertice. It's going to be the same length on all of those. Okay? Let's jump over to the angle bisector. So right now the angle bisector is a line, ray, or segment that divides an angle into two congruent angles. Remember, the word bisect means cut in half. So basically it's some type of line that is cutting my angle into two equal parts. So right now I have my angle bisector, and so this angle right here is going to be equal to that angle right there. It's basically just snipping it in half, okay? Now if I was to draw all three of those, the intersection of the angle bisectors is called the incenter. So the incenter is equidistant from the three sides of the triangle. So if I was to somewhat draw a angle bisector here, so I'm going to do my best to try and do this, this would be an incenter. And then if I was to draw a 90-degree angle straight to each side, that would end up being the same distance from all three sides of the triangle. Okay, so we're going to take this information, we're going to apply it to our examples, and we're going to put it into place. Let's jump over to example number one. All right, so on example number one, it says BD right here is a perpendicular bisector of AC. So right now, it's perpendicular to the side and it's cutting it in half. So what that tells me is that from D to C and from D to A, those are going to be congruent to each other. So right now, I need to find the value of X, and then I need to plug it back in to find the value of the whole thing. So right now, I know CD, which is 5X minus 6, is going to be equal to 3x plus 8. So I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides, which is going to give me 2x minus 6 equals 6. I'm going to add 6 on both sides, which is going to give me 2x equals 12, and I'm going to divide by 2, which is going to end up giving me 6. So that's the value of x. So now I have to plug it back in to find the whole thing. But I know that these two sides are equal to each other. So I'm just going to plug it into one side and then just double it. So I'm going to do 3 times 6 plus 8. 3 times 6 is going to end up being 18, plus 8 is going to be 24. And then 24 times 2 is going to end up giving me 48. So that means the measurement from A to C is 48. So with that being said, I'm just using the concept that my perpendicular bisector cuts that perfectly in half because it's bisecting it. So that makes those two equal, okay? So let's jump over to example number 2. All right, guys, so now look at example number 2. So right now it tells me JZ and MZ are perpendicular bisectors of GH and J. So right now what this is telling me is that this is going to be a perpendicular bisector, and it says M to Z, so this is a perpendicular bisector. And right now, since these two are basically perpendicular bisectors, and this is meeting at something called the circumcenter, that means this is also going to be a 90-degree angle as well, which makes it an angle bisector. So right now, we're going to use this information to find these missing sides. So from G to K, if I look, I know that this is my perpendicular bisector right here, which means it's bisecting that whole side, meaning cut it in half. So if half the line is 18.6, that means the other half is going to be 18.6. So GK equals 18.6, okay? So now if we look down here, I have another perpendicular bisector Bisect means it cuts it in half. So it's cutting those pieces into 2 equal parts. So MJ is half the line at 14.5, so G to M is going to be 14.5 as well. So G to M equals 14.5, okay? I also know that the distance from the circumcenter to the vertice is going to be the same on all of those. So right now, if I look from the circumcenter to the vertice is 19.9, that means from J to Z, which is from the vertice to the circumcenter, is also going to be 19.9. So from J to Z equals 19.9. So I was able to find all of this just by knowing the definitions that I've learned up top in my lesson here, okay? So let's jump over to example number 3. Okay, so now on example number 3, it's showing I have been given an angle bisector. So I know that blue line right now is now bisecting SUT, meaning splitting it into 2 different parts. So that means if I want to find angle 1 and angle 2 are the 2 angles that are being split up. So right now, bisect means cut in half. So all I have to do is 34 divided by 2. So 34 divided by 2 is going to end up giving you 17 degrees. So that means angle 1 is going to end up being 17 degrees, okay? Okay, so now remember on the right side of your paper down here is your challenge question. So if you guys need help on this, you can call me over, I can help you out. But if you can do this on your own, that means you are probably ready to move on to your skill check. So just let me know if you need any help, and good luck on your skill check.